What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to talk about the players that I think will make the biggest statistical jumps this season. There's a lot of different reasons for someone's stats increasing. Some being moving into a starting role, getting a bigger role in the offense, personal improvement, or new teammates around them. So I'm going to break down 3 players and give some statistical evidence of why I think they're going to have improved stats. And then at the end, I'm going to talk about a couple other players that I just think are going to be much improved this season. We're going to start off by talking about Myles Turner. There are 2 main reasons that I think Myles Turner is going to show huge improvements this season. And that is increased pick and roll opportunities and improved 3-point shooting. So we'll start with the pick and roll. Last season, Myles Turner scored 1.03 points per possession on 4.9 possessions per game, and that was in the 39.1 percentile in the league. There's 2 reasons that this doesn't really worry me. First, for young big men, the pick and roll is one of the hardest adjustments to the NBA. There really weren't many bigs above him in the rankings that were younger than him, so I'm really not worried. I think he's going to improve a lot this season. The second reason that I'm not worried is because he was hurt last year. He definitely had decreased mobility for part of the season last season, and that will be back this season. So a fully healthy and more experienced Myles Turner is going to be a lot better in the pick and roll. So then there are 2 reasons that he's going to have increased opportunities in the pick and roll this season. The first reason is that the Pacers already have 2 incredible pick and roll ball handlers in their offense, and they just added another one in Tyreke Evans that is even better than both of them. The Pacers already ran a lot of pick and rolls last season, and with adding Evans now, they're going to be running even more. So then the second reason is that the Pacers have nobody else to run the pick and roll with these guards. The starting power forward for the Pacers, Thaddeus Young, was absolutely terrible in the pick and roll last season. He scored 0.86 points per possession on 2.3 possessions a game, which was in the 12.6 percentile in the league. And then Sabonis was also pretty bad, scoring 0.98 points per possession on 5.1 possessions a game, which was in the 29th percentile. So the Pacers are going to want to run so many pick and rolls this season, and Myles Turner is really the only decent big that could run it with them. So he's going to get a lot of opportunities. And now his 3-point shooting. First, his 3-point shooting has been improving every season since he's been in the league so far, and his volume has been increasing as well. These were his stats for the past 3 seasons, and as you can see, he's shooting almost 36% and making about a 3 a game now. In the 2016 season, his 3-pointers accounted for 13.2% of his shots, and this past season, his 3-pointers accounted for 24.6% of his shots. So his 3-point volume shooting is increasing rapidly. As Turner takes more threes and his percentage approaches 40%, that is going to give him so many scoring opportunities. And then this right here, I think, is the biggest thing. Only 8.9% of Myles Turner's threes this past season were from the corner. When he's running the pick and pop with Oladipo, Evans, and Collison, he's going to get so many wide open threes from the top of the key and from the wings, which is where he loves to take 3-pointers. So I'm predicting Turner to be taking a lot of threes this season, and he's going to be getting a lot of wide open looks. One other thing about Turner is, like I said, he was injured last year, so this year he's going to be more mobile, and he's going to be able to stay in games longer. So more minutes obviously is going to help his stats increase. So now let's talk about Kevin Love. Nobody really remembers what Kevin Love was like before he got traded to the Cavs. These are Kevin Love's stats in his last 2 healthy seasons on the Timberwolves, and this is what he earned. And this is where he was in the MVP voting. When he was only 23 years old in 2011, he finished 6th in the league in MVP voting. Kevin Love was a young star on the rise, and then unfortunately, he got traded to the Cavs. And on the Cavs, he had a really hard time ever blending with LeBron and Kyrie. So the first and most obvious reason for Love's increase in stats is his increased offensive role. For the first time since his days as a Timberwolf, he's the #1 option. And you can see what he did when he was the #1 option on the Timberwolves. So then the second obvious reason that Kevin Love will have improved stats is his increase in minutes. In Kevin Love's last 2 healthy seasons on the Timberwolves, he averaged 39 and 36.3 minutes per game. This past season on the Cavs, he only played 28 minutes per game. This was mostly due to the fact that the Cavs like to play LeBron as a small ball 4, and Love couldn't really hold his own as a center. And something to note is that Kevin Love's conditioning has improved drastically since he's been on the Timberwolves. He was playing 39 minutes per game, and he was probably like 30 pounds heavier than he is right now. So Kevin Love is going to be playing significant minutes this season. And he's going to be more effective in those minutes because he has better conditioning. And also, now that he is going to be a full-time power forward and Tristan Thompson is going to be the starting center again, it's going to take a lot less energy from Love on the defensive end, which helps his conditioning even more. So for Kevin Love scoring, I think that he now has even more potential as a scorer than he did on the Timberwolves. And that is due to his shot selection. Right here, you can see the percentage of his shots that were three-pointers when he was on the Timberwolves and now that he's on the Cavs. His lowest percentage while on the Cavs was 41.2%, and his highest percentage when on the Timberwolves was 35.5%. As the number one option, Love is going to be taking a lot of shots, and a lot of those shots are going to be threes. So his potential as a scorer is even more than it was back when he was scoring 26 points per game on the Timberwolves. And then another big change with Kevin Love this season is that he's going to be used more as a playmaker. Kevin Love really took a step forward in his playmaking abilities in his last season on the Timberwolves. He brought his assist percentage up to 21.4% and was averaging 4.4 assists per game. In his 4 years that he's been on the Cavs, his assist percentage has dropped to 10.8% and he's only been getting 2.1 assists per game. This is completely due to his situation and not his ability. We saw in his last season on the Timberwolves that he could be a great playmaker, and he's going to get those playmaking opportunities again on the Cavs this year with LeBron gone. And then lastly, his usage percentage. In his last year on the Timberwolves, his usage percentage was 28.8%, and in his 4 years on the Cavs, that has only been 23.9%. So this season, Kevin Love is going to have incredible opportunities to put up stats like he did in his Timberwolves days. So then there are 4 more players that I don't really have stats to back up my opinion, but I think they're going to make big jumps this season. First up is JaVale McGee, who in my last video I picked to win the Most Improved Player award this season. The first and most obvious thing about McGee is that his minutes are going to skyrocket this season. In his past 2 seasons on the Warriors, he averaged under 10 minutes per game. And this season on the Lakers, that should at least double. His role is going to be pretty similar to what it was on the Warriors, so I don't think his production is going to drop off that much. This guy is 7 feet tall, 270 pounds, and he's an easy bucket machine. He has so many great playmakers around him in Lonzo, Rajon Rondo, and LeBron that are going to get him so many wide open dunks. And in addition to that, JaVale has added a three-point shot to his game. He just made his first 3 in the last Lakers preseason game. And if JaVale can manage to hit around 35% of corner threes, that is going to add so much to the Lakers offense, and it's going to help JaVale's stats a lot. And then on defense, JaVale is going to be the lone big in the game for most of the time that he is playing. So he's going to be asked to hold down the paint, and he's going to get a lot of block opportunities and a lot of easy rebounding opportunities, as he's going to be asked to be camping out in the paint for most of the time. The next player I wanted to talk about was Jrue Holiday. Jrue was a huge part of why the Pelicans were so successful in the playoffs this year without Boogie Cousins playing. So with Cousins leaving and with Rondo leaving as well, Jrue Holiday is going to get a lot more scoring and playmaking opportunities on the Pelicans this season. However, they did add Elfrid Payton at point guard, and they also brought in Julius Randle to help fill the void that Cousins left. So he's going to be prevented from making huge leaps, but I still think he's going to see some stat increases. Next is Chandler Parsons. I talked about Parsons a little bit in my last video. I think if he stays healthy, he has a shot at winning the Most Improved Player award, and that's mainly because Parsons has a huge opportunity to be a scorer on the Grizzlies this season. Parsons is finally healthy going into the season, and the Grizzlies were 29th in scoring last year. Their top scorer, Tyreke Evans, is now gone. Marc Gasol is on the decline, and Mike Conley is 31 and injury prone. Parsons will have a ton of scoring opportunities this season, especially if Mike Conley goes down again and if Marc Gasol shows significant steps back as he's getting older. The last player on this list is probably the least likely, but I just have so much faith in this guy I had to include him, and that is Cedi Osman. Osman might be buried on the depth chart early on, with Hood and J.R. Smith probably starting, and then with Jordan Clarkson and Kyle Korver also coming off the bench. But if Jordan Clarkson starts to play terrible like he did last season, or if Kyle Korver gets in a shooting slump, or if any of those 4 players that I mentioned get injured, Osman will have a huge opportunity to cement himself as a rotation player. He's just such a solid all-around player. He's a great slasher, he's a good three-point shooter, he's a good defender, and he plays with high energy, which is something that this team might be lacking early on in the season. So if he gets his opportunity, I think he's going to be a hard player to put back on the bench. And I think it's going to be really hard for Lue to not give this guy minutes after what he showed last season and his short spurt as a starter. In those couple games that he started, he really showed how well-rounded he is and that he definitely belongs in the rotation this season. That's it for this video. Let me know in the comments if you think that there are any other players that are going to make significant statistical jumps this season. A lot more opportunities are going to open up because injuries in the NBA are unavoidable. So I'm sure there are going to be a lot of players that make huge strides this season that we don't yet know about. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.